I have a question for you. Are you in a season of stress and maybe your life has just been uprooted, uplifted, and you have heavy burden? Maybe you're in a fearful time of your life. You don't know maybe if you're going to be able to buy groceries or pay the bills, or you have health problems, or maybe you're a business owner and you're going through one of the most difficult, stressful times of your business, or you're having problems with your family or your marriage. Can I just share a testimony with you? I have found that every single time I have been put in a situation where I'm uncomfortable or my whole world has been shaken, that as long as I just keep my focus on Jesus Christ, as long as I spend intimate time with the Father and pray and seek His face and trust Him and not be fearful but be faithful, that is when God has moved the most in my life. God wanted me to do a business. I didn't want to do the business. In fact, I was incredibly fearful of doing the business because there was a world pandemic and I was a level 10 germaphobe. I kept thinking, I'm just daydreaming this. These are just dreams. I'm hearing God wrong. Until one day God gave me a painfully honest and but father-loving dream that you are not listening to me, and I made you for such a time as this. This is why you were put on this earth. And if you do this, and he just showed me just Holy Spirit gushing out of my business. And so I just said, yes, God, because whenever you're reprimanded by the Lord, I don't know about anyone else, but it's terrifying. And I just said, yes, God. And there I was being obedient and paying rent for my interim salon and then paying a mortgage on a building I owned. And I barely had money to feed my family and to pay my bills. And I still tithed. And God really showed up. He really showed up and he provided miraculously. And then the business was built. But the business wasn't easy. In fact, it still isn't easy. And it's difficult. And I think back and I'm like, God, you promised me this. Now, I will say this, God never promised me wealth, but he promised me fruit. And I do have fruit in this business. Lots of fruit in my life, really. I hope that people can judge the Father in me by the fruit in my life. But there I was, so uncomfortable, walking blind with the Lord. And he still provided and he guided. And even though the business isn't easy, there's things that he's flipped upside down in my life that it needed to happen. I needed to learn also that aspect of being a business owner. And if I wouldn't have had those things flipped upside down in my life, I wouldn't have gotten uncomfortable. I think if I would have stayed comfortable, I wouldn't have made these changes in my career and in my life that now is a whole nother business and ministry. I know other people go through this, but for me, when the Lord speaks to me, yes, it can be a soft, quiet voice by his Holy Spirit, but also I have dreams and I've had visions. And I think that is, I'm not special. It happens to anyone and can happen to everyone. And it just is based on your intimacy with the Lord. And I had no idea when he told me in 2022 that my home would have the impact of the amount of people that would fill a stadium. And that would be like kingdom impact, like ministry impact. I had no idea. I didn't put two and two together. And then 2 years later, I had a vision and my house was being built. And I saw myself sitting at my table with a microphone and my fireplace in the background. And I thought, does God want me to do a podcast? And I honestly, I didn't think two thoughts of that. I wrote it down. I always date and time it. And I pocketed that away and I forgot about it. In fact, the chaos of life made me forget about all of that. And then my business went through, like, I'll just say, uncertain times. And I thought, well, I have to protect my family. I have to make sure that I'm doing something that protects my family. And I thought, I am an educator at heart. I am a teacher. God made me to teach. I love teaching, and I can really help people in this industry. And I had an idea about a year ago to create an educational platform, which I am in the process of creating a website with class content that people will be able to subscribe to. And I thought, okay, that's going to be just that cushion to protect my business. I have a very old historic building I have to finish financially. I have to restore a whole 2 more levels. I have them like 85% done, but I mean, that's just money that I don't have, that I have to pay to finish them. And so this would just be a cushion for me. And then little did I know, and I even said to God, I was like, this year, it was the beginning of 2026. And I said, this year, God, I just want to rest. I've worked so hard, and I'm sure I'm failing you in timing for the ministry that you've called me to. I mean, I know my salon's a ministry, but I feel like I'm failing you in so many things that you've called me to do. But can I just rest this year? Can I just rest? Well, I did rest. I'm resting in the Lord. And in that rest, God has given me wisdom and knowledge and discernment. And He has given me such a gift to be able to speak to others and to educate others. And then here we are. Now I'm creating a second platform to communicate with people about Jesus Christ, especially in their business. And when I combine that stadium impact dream and that vision of me at a table, I had no idea that He had already known 4 years ago that I would be doing this. And His timing is always perfect. If I go back and we circle back and you remember, I was uncomfortable. My business was kind of shaken, turned upside down. It made me uncomfortable. In that season, I said, God, teach me what you want me to learn. And then in that, months later, I'm doing this second platform. And that is ultimately probably the ministry of my life that is going to have the most impact. If you've listened to this video all the way through, you now bear witness to what God has told me. I have 31 subscribers on YouTube. About 80 to 100,000 people can fill a stadium. So now you are a witness to what God is going to bring in my life. And let that be a testimony and a faith builder for you in your life. God answers prayers. God has a purpose for your life. You were truly made for more. So if you are going through a difficult time, I challenge you to blindly trust God, to keep your eyes on Jesus Christ, to have daily conversations with God. Read His Word, and He will guide you. And you may not even realize you're being guided, but He will keep your path straight. Proverbs 3, I think it's verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your might and lean not on your own understanding. And in all your ways He will make your path straight. John 15:5, Jesus says, I am the vine and you are the branches. Abide in me and I in you, and you will produce much fruit. I mean, I know I want more fruit. Do you want fruit in your life? Do you feel like you're in a barren state? All you have to do is abide in Jesus Christ. That's all he's calling you to, is to love him and to follow him and to trust him. Every hair on your head is numbered. And are you not worth more than sparrows? For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper. God has called you to a higher purpose. So I just want to challenge you. In this dark storm of your life, I challenge you to blindly trust in the Lord and walk faithfully. Talk to him every day. Pray to him every day. Read his holy word. What he does for you, it's beyond comprehension. It's beyond what you could ever imagine. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light, and no one can come to the Father except through him. You could be a baker, accountant, a secretary, a hairstylist, a business owner, and you could use that platform to serve the Lord, and he will bless it. Put God first in all you do. I am your mentor. Create with intention and lead. Please lead with your God-given purpose.